Everybody, this is Jewelyn. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another Planting with Jewelyn episode. If you guys love this series, please give it a thumbs up and let me know down in the comments below. And I am here at the end of July and I'm only back really for 2 days. I just came back from the Bay Area. I hope you guys enjoyed the Bay Area content, and I'm going to be heading back to Las Vegas and I'm stopping by in San Diego. So I wanted to go ahead and do this Planting with Jewelyn episode because I have so much cuttings along with some old babies that I wanted to shift around. If you guys are familiar with my channel, I do that from time to time before I leave for a handful of days. And I think the next video I will be filming is the Pot of Fame for July edition. It is the ending of July, but I've been traveling every week this month and also next month, so it's very hard for me to get content here in my patio, but I hope you guys enjoy this video. Now there's really no particular order on how I'm gonna do the plants that I want to work on today, but the first thing I do want to start on is shifting 2 plants. They're the same plants and I've had that in my collection for over a year now, and it's recovering from the Las Vegas sunburn when I was living out there for a little bit, and I still have it in my collection and I treat it just the same as my plants that I really love and spend a lot of money on. So what I think I want to do with them is, because they're still trying to figure out its way to coming back to health, I want to put them together in a bigger planter and then reuse the individual planters for other plants that I have that I recently got over the Bay Area weekend. So I'm gonna do that first. Now I have a lot of things set up here, so I'm gonna try to work my way around everything. So this is a planter that I want to put both plants in together, and I've had this planter for a while. If you watch my channel last year, it actually was living on my bench when it was here by my front door, and I had like a half done fairy garden in it, and that's the reason why I bought this planter. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put them together in here, and it's such a very fragile plant that when you do touch it, it falls apart. So I really don't like shifting this plant around, but I do want to use these planters for something else. We're gonna go ahead and carefully take them out. So this is what I'm talking about. So it is wild and crazy, and they do get a little leggy here. I think this is called like the golden sedum, if I'm not mistaken. If you take a look really closely, you can see that it's gotten sunburned in Las Vegas, and this was literally just by my window indoors. And if you look really closely though, they are recovering well, surely but slowly. So I don't want to disregard them, and I kind of just want them to just be however they want to be. And I do take cuttings when they do fall apart. This is a very fragile plant, so what I want to do is slowly take them out, and then obviously whatever fallouts that do happen, I'll just go ahead and propagate them. So I think what I'm gonna do is loosen up the soil here. It is the middle of summer and I do struggle with ants here. I struggled with it last summer, and ants is literally everywhere in my home and outdoors, so I really have to, I see ants already just climbing on these plants. So that's my pest problem that I have to deal with here in Santa Monica, is the ants. And I know I'm not the only one that struggle with ant problems in Santa Monica, but I don't really have any other insect problems with my plant collection. It's pretty much ants during the summer. So I actually got some spray from Orchard the other day, and I'm spraying everything in and outside of my home with this spray. It's water based and it's plant and animal friendly, so I just have that to kind of tame the ants, but they are attracted to water and just really pretty much anything. So I'm currently dealing with ant problems here. So I got the soil in here in the base, and then let me take out the other ones so I can kind of get them to be placed next to each other like they're one big plant. And it's not really root bound, so I can easily just kind of shake it out here. All right, and then these 2 planters will be available for today's project. So I do complain a lot about my tree above my house. It gives me trash every day, and if I don't sweep it out, it looks like nobody lives here. So I'm constantly picking trash off of my plants in my patio on a daily basis. So this is the current condition of this guy. Very crazy looking. And then this is the condition of the other guy. So I want to try to group them together and make them look a little decent here, and try to not have them fall apart. And I do want it to, you know, have that cascading effect over the planter. So let's see how they can live together in this planter like one big happy family. You guys survived the Las Vegas heat with the sunburn, and that was very unfortunate. The lesson I learned is even if you have your plants indoors, you're still gonna get sunburn on your plants in Las Vegas. So that's one thing I've learned having a plant collection in Las Vegas. So I think this looks pretty good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use the soil from my owl planter, and I'm going to just kind of fill up the edges. And I also have the cactus and succulent mix in a little bin nearby that I can go ahead and fill up the edges. And I think this is going to be a better living situation for them. And that also gives me 2 planters to be freed up for the plant cuttings that I got in the Bay Area. So that makes everything work out. So I'm just gonna use this here. Put this on the side. And I have my bin of succulent cactus mix here on the side, and I'm just gonna fill it up a little bit more so it can stand up taller. So I have my little pail of cactus succulent mix. Now my Tiffany blue one, which is right below me, has houseplant soil, just in case I do any houseplants, which I think I have 1 or 2, but for the most part it's all succulents today in today's video. So I'm just gonna fill the edges up, and my allergies has been acting up since I've been up this morning. So dealing with this soil probably might make my nose go crazy. Okay, so now that I have more soil in here, I can kind of plop them up to where I want them to be in the planter and edge it in. Kind of fell down, but I'll get that in a second. And then maybe without damaging this guy, I can do this here to get him propped up. Now that looks like the best it can be for how it's growing. I know it's super crazy. I have like 2 loose guys here, one with roots, one without. I'm just gonna stick it in here and let it figure itself out. So I think this is the best it can be for what it looks like. This is a very crazy succulent, and it does grow wild, as you can see. Very fragile. When you touch the petals, it'll fall right off. So this is definitely something where you want to pot up and just not touch it and let it do its thing. Unless you have a situation like me where I just want to just group them together in a bigger planter. So I won't be touching this guy for a while. Here is what it looks like. I know it looks crazy, but I think it works, and I'm just gonna leave it like this and find a place for it in my patio to kind of just find its way in this planter. But I'm happy I did the switch. This is what it looks like on this side. Let me know what you guys think. And now we're gonna move on to more planting. Okay guys, so I have a bunch of cuttings here that I got in the Bay Area at the home that I was staying at. And I went through my glass propagation bottles in my potting bench last night to kind of just fit them in to get them ready for today's video, so it wouldn't take me that long to do this part of the video. So I have them here, and they're grouped up to where that they can fit in individual vessels and not fall over. So I have some water here, and I'm gonna just go ahead and place them into water and just kind of set it on the side in my potting bench, where I like to keep my cuttings on the top shelf. If you guys see my potting bench tour, then you know what I'm talking about. So really quickly, in this bottle I have 3 cuttings here. These I got from, I think as I was walking to dance school, I found these on the ground, so I picked it up And then I have another cutting as well from, I think, my same walk. So I'm always like looking on the ground, because if I see somebody that's struggling on the sidewalk, I'll definitely pick it up, you guys know, and bring it into my collection to property. So here is one, and I'll live on my potting bench. And then this is another bunch of cuttings here. I have this guy here, as well as a bunch of these guys here. Don't know the name. I think I might have mentioned it in the tour, because the planter was labeled. So if you guys know what this is, let me know. But I think it's absolutely adorable. I've never seen this before. So I'm gonna fill up the vessel with water. My allergies is driving me crazy, and I'm starting to feel like, I don't know, a little sick. I think it's just from me traveling and not getting proper sleep and pushing my body. So that is going to all live together like so. Keep that there. Moving along, I have this, I want to say it's a cressula cutting. Looks like some kind of variation of a jade, and it's definitely different from mine's growing in my yard. So this is just going to be by itself here, and I have no problems believing that it will root on me. So that will go right into that guy. I have more here, so these guys are going to go together. Here. Just like that. Here's another grouping here. So because I have so much cuttings, I group them together like this instead of having so many water vessels on my potting bench. And I never have problems getting roots if I, you know, group them together like this. And it kind of helps it from not tipping over. Just do that. This is what happens when you get a lot of cuttings. You just group them up together like that, and it works out. Here's another cressula cutting. Kind of, it looks just like mine, but we'll just stick this in here, just like that. And then I got these big guys here, 3 of them, that I'm just gonna make it all fit in there. Like so. And then I have a bunch of various cuttings that are long stemmed in here, so let's go ahead and take them out and fill this up with water. So I got this guy here, leave that here. This one has a little bit of roots, but I'm still gonna put it in water to kind of help it. I have this guy as well with no roots, and then this guy here. So they'll all just stay in here together, and I'll check on it when I come back next week to see how it's doing. If I need to make moves and shift them around because they're not happy, I'll do that. But for the most part, I have all the bottom of the stems into water, and I'm gonna place all of these cuttings onto my potting bench, and then we're gonna continue with more planting. Okay, so now I'm gonna work with a bunch of my jade cuttings that I've rooted and put into dirt over the last year or so, and I want to again group them like what I did with my previous succulents, and I want to use these individual planters for new babies. So I just have this like metal type of planter, and this is temporary. You know, the jade plant is very easy to grow. They're not very finicky, so you can pretty much put them in anything and they'll grow. I have a bunch, and I thought it'd just be nice if maybe I just plant them up all together in one, and then I can have this sitting really anywhere, or I could even give it as a gift. So I got this planter, I believe, from a thrift shop here in LA, and it's been housing this guy here, which is one of my first cuttings that I've made for myself from my original tree that got cut down. If you guys watch my channel, So I want to use this for a cutting that I got in the Bay Area at the house that I stayed at. So I'm just gonna put this guy here, and then I might put this guy here as well. This is like a cup. My mom gave me a bunch of them, and I have this with a bunch of other plants on my plant shelf, so I'm probably gonna use that for one of my newest cuttings here. And who knows, maybe I'll just put these two guys together into this planter for now. I think that's super cute. I have extra cuttings here that I've been growing, and just in case, but I think if I just put these two guys in here, I think that'll look really cute. So I think I'm gonna do that. So these two are probably like my original babies that I planted up a year ago from cuttings from my tree. And then I'm just gonna fill this up here with some soil. And we'll just place this somewhere in my patio, or I can just give it as a trade to somebody that is new to plants or doesn't have the jade in their collection. If you're familiar with this plant, you know that this is also known as like the good luck plant, or a friendship plant. So I really love the meaning of this tree, and my mom's name is Jade, so that's another fun fact. I could actually even take this to our restaurant in Las Vegas and put it maybe at the end of the bar. I could even do that. Maybe I'll do that. I think that might be a little nice touch for the restaurant. If you guys watch my channel, you're familiar with me restyling the succulents there. All right, so I think I'm gonna just do one more scoop and I'll be good to go. So this was just, again, something I want to do so I can free up those white planters for new babies. And I think this looks super cute. What do you guys think? Look at that. How cute is that? So now they just live together, and I'm just gonna set this on the side. I think that's perfect. So now we'll use this for an upcoming project in the future. So now that I have this guy free, let's talk about a new plant baby that I got. And this is an elephant's food or elephant's bush succulent, and I got this from the house that I was staying at in East Bay, and it was growing in the ground. Now I do share this one in my collection for Pot of Fame June edition, which struggled. It lost all its leaves and then it regained its leaves over the years. But I wanted to go ahead and take a cutting from her yard because it was growing in the ground, and I think I might have better luck with this guy from her yard. So I'm just gonna place some soil on the bottom, and it has roots. It came right out of the ground really nicely, so that worked out. And we'll see which does better, the one that I'm planting up now from the ground, or the one that I got from the Las Vegas nursery that lost all its leaves and then gained them back over the last year under my care. Let me use my shovel. My allergies is acting up like crazy. And by the way, guys, I love my potting tray because I can create a mess and not worry about it. It's very easy for me to just put all this dirt back into the bin and start all over again. A very good investment if you have the space. Okay, so this is perfect. I'm loving the new plant in this planter. What do you guys think? I think that works out great. And then for the elephant's food that I have already in my collection, it's in a tall planter like this as well. So I wanted to do the shift because this works well, the elephant's food with a tall planter, and I didn't have one that was empty in my potting bench, so this worked out great. This is another cutting which kind of got beaten up from the airplane transporting back to Santa Monica, but there is some roots here, and I think what I'm gonna do is, I wonder if my owl planter would work well with this guy here. Possibly. It looks good to me. So let's use the rest of this soil on the bottom. And then, you know, I'm gonna just give it some time to find its way. Yeah, that looks great. So let me get more soil and then fill it up. So let's see what I got here. I got more soil, and I set up my next few babies that I want to go ahead and plant up so I can work really quickly. I'm gonna check on this guy in a couple weeks to see how it's doing. It just had a rough trip over here, so I'm gonna let it figure itself out in here. But this is not a finicky plant, very easy, so I'm not worried about it. And that happens when you travel with plants. Okay, so this looks pretty good. It is on the leggy side, so I'm gonna put a little bit more soil to ground it in the planter. So currently all of my plants that live in my home, besides my bathroom, is outside. So it looks like I'm surrounded by a jungle. But whenever I do travel, like I do share on my channel, they come out so they get sun. So because I'm traveling back to back, I decided to just keep them here in the patio since I'm only home for 2 days. So I think this looks pretty good. What do you guys think? I mean, it works. It works. You know, if I do decide to put it in a terracotta, when I pick up more, I'll do the switch in a taller terracotta. But for now, I think it looks great in this. And I have like another owl planter, a little bit shorter, that has my string of coins or my silver dollar plant. So maybe they'll just hang out together. In fact, I have a few actually owl planters. I love owls. So you look great in here. You kind of look like you got, you know, smashed in my carry-on, but I'm gonna give it some time and I'm sure it'll do great. Moving along to my Cressula ovata cuttings, very different from mine. This is like a dwarf version, and I pulled them right out of the dirt, so I do have roots. They're gonna go into the cup that I emptied out. Fill it up with some succulent cactus soil mix, and it'll just live here. If I decide to get more planters or when they grow bigger, I'll go ahead and shift them into a different planter, but for now this works well. And I can put this back on my plant shelfie outside, which, by the way guys, I will do an updated plant shelfie patio edition because it constantly changes, and I think that's probably my favorite. I don't want to say this out loud, but my favorite part of my patio is my plant shelfie, because I work so hard potting up all my little babies, and I just love the vibe that it gives to my patio space. I know it takes up a lot of real estate, and I know a lot of people don't have that, so I know I'm very fortunate to have a big patio where I can just create Jewelyn's jungle. And I'm gonna put a little bit more soil in here, and you know, the roots will find its way in the soil and then it'll be able to stay upright. I can always chopstick them, but I think they'll do just fine. So it'll kind of look like this. I may rearrange them to come a little bit tighter after I set them onto the plant shelf, but for now I think I like it just like this. I think it's super cute. Stick that there. All right, so I have this echeveria, which is also straight out of the ground from the Bay Area, the house I stayed at. I have an empty terracotta planter, so I'm just going to maybe cut the root a little bit smaller here, and then it'll go straight into the planter. So we're making a lot of shifts today, but I love doing that because I do, you know, take a look at my collection on a weekly basis to see what's working, what's not working, and I make shifts, and that's fine. And I think it's important, you know, if the plant is not doing well in its living environment, to make switches and switch things up, whether it's a planter or the location it might not be happy in. So I think this works out well, and I'll hopefully find room on my plant shelfie for it. Now, here is, I want to say this is an aeonium, and this is a cutting from Tanya. It's been hanging out in water for a while. If you see, there's water roots, and I'm gonna put it in my ice cream planter here. And I'm hoping I'll be able to find a spot on my plant shelfie for it. And that. So another cutting from a plant friend, Anya, featured on my channel, my last Meet My Plant Friend episode. So she gave me a cutting of this guy here. So if you can see, there's some roots here. And I have a little terracotta. I'm gonna place it in here. I think that's super cute. I should just use my fingers because it's so fragile. Not too sure where I got these little terracottas. Maybe at a thrift shop in Las Vegas. I'm thinking, how cute is that? I thought it deserved a little terracotta for giving me roots. Now with this guy here, I'm going to place my donkey's tail cutting, and I'm going to take this off here so that it can go into water. And I will give new water. Into this guy here. So we'll put the donkey's tail in here. And I try to not get the succulent petals in the water because it'll just rot. So you have to be very careful when sticking them in water. Here's another one. So just expose the stem and just stick the stem in the water. Because if you have the petals in the water, it'll just rot off and it won't do anything for you. So what I'm doing is I'm just exposing the stem a little, so taking off the bottoms, which kind of hurts to see me do that, but that's what it looks like. And then I'll go ahead and just stick this into water propagation. It looks just like this, and this will also go on the potting bench with the rest of my cuttings. So I think that was the last of my cuttings that I wanted to place in water. Now speaking of cuttings in water, I have the peperomia cutting. Do you guys remember my variegated peperomia? It's right behind me right there. It gave me a surprise hitchhiker baby, this guy here. And as you can see, it's been growing and giving me roots in the water propagation system that I had it on. It's dusty from being on my potting bench. But I want to go ahead and place it into the ice cream planter because I think it's time, and we're gonna switch this out now to houseplant soil. Now peperomias are succulents, they're in the succulent family, but I still like to give it houseplant dirt and treat it as a houseplant. So this guy is a grower, so when it does become bigger, I'll go ahead and switch it to a bigger planter. But for now, as far as white planters go, I don't have much that will accommodate the shape that it's in right now, size-wise. So it'll just be in the ice cream planter until I find more white planters or terracotta that fits its aesthetic. So it'll go in here. It looks alright. So in one of my Planting with Jewelyn episodes, I had put a bunch of cuttings, I think it was from Tanya, all into water, but somebody mentioned like, oh, do you not propagate from dirt? And I actually do. If you watch my plant tour, I do show my propagation station. I have a bunch of propagations happening underneath my wicker table and then on my like rescue shelf. So this guy was living on my rescue shelf, and this is actually a baby that propagated off of one leaf. If you watch my Santa Monica rescue where I had them all laid out on my big crate barrel type of planter. So this was off of one leaf that I found on the street by Santa Monica stairs over a year ago, and look how big it is. So it's been living in this little guy here, so I just want to put it into an ice cream planter because I think it's well deserved, and it belongs in a beautiful planter for surviving a whole year and turning into a beautiful plant. So I think this works out great to have this guy in here. I'll make room on my plant shelf for him. I just can't believe I propagated him off of a rescue leaf on the streets. So if you live in a city like me where there's succulents, you just never know. Look on the ground. You might end up finding a petal and then growing it at home, which I think is just a little fun experiment. So happy about this guy. It looks so cute. Now moving along to my last cuttings from the bay. Now this is going to be an experiment. I'm going to use this guy here. I'm going to go ahead and place it into dirt and see if it'll give me roots like an aloe, and I don't know, we'll see. We'll check back. This is just like an experiment to see if I could propagate a cutting off of this guy. It's very hard to take out from the dirt, but guys, it'll just live in here. I'll keep you guys posted. It'll go on my rescue shelf. So 2 things I want to do with my Hoya Carry, and I guess this is now a plant haul because I didn't talk about this on my channel yet. So I got these 2 Hoyas from my last come with me video in the Bay Area, and I was very surprised to see this hanging out in the houseplant section. But because they're on the short side and these are slow growers, and this has been a wish list plant of mine for a while, not in the greatest condition, and I bought this for the Golden Heart for 4-inch for about $10, and then this guy here without variegation was priced for almost $9. So on the expensive side, but this is a very rare plant for me. But I want to see the condition of the roots. So as you can see here, thank goodness I see roots. That makes me happy. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing with this guy here, because I just want to make sure I know the plant's condition before anything else. So I see also more roots here. So I'm gonna just kind of break it apart and see what's going on here, and then I can easily place this into a planter that I have and kind of let it do its thing. Let me know if you guys are also into Hoyas. I've been wanting this particular Hoya for a while. I'm also looking for the speckled one, so if you guys know where I can get one of those, let me know. So I just want to expose the roots to see what's going on with this guy here. And this is kind of the condition of the roots here. Not that bad. So I want to see if maybe I can put it in this bare planter here, and maybe I can just leave this, maybe, I don't know, I want to keep this inside, and I'll leave it in this bare planter till maybe the end of the year. Unless I find more white small planters, I'll shift this around. There is a drainage hole in this animal planter, so I'm not going to stress out as much as if there wasn't any. And I'll just kind of let it do its thing here, but I'm just reusing the soil that it came in, and I feel much better like checking the root system out, just because it was so short and stubby. Who knows, you know? But now I know, and I feel better about it. And I'm gonna see if I can get it right to where I want it to be. And I think that works out great. So here is my Hoya Carry. I think that looks super cute. And then let's go ahead and break up this guy to see the root condition here. And I can either put it in my other animal planter or in a terracotta, depending on the roots here. Okay, I'm not upset about the root system here. These were the best ones out of the batch. If you watch my Come With Me video on this particular nursery, I was, you know, deciding what to get out of the batch that they had. So, okay. Here's the roots exposed. What do you guys think? I'm just happy that there's roots. And then let's see if you fit in this guy. No, I think that's a little bit too crowded, so I'm gonna put you in a terracotta and leave you in here until further notice. This is my short terracotta that I featured on a haul and previous Planting with Jewelyn episodes. This is my last one. It's been living on my potting bench. And if you are someone like me that collects plants, I always like to get backups because you just never know. So I'm glad it worked out that I had this terracotta laying here on my potting bench for this Hoya Carry, which was a nice surprise and fun way to end my time in the Bay. And it was so crazy to see the prices and just the selection, which in the Bay Area, I wouldn't have a big collection. I remember when I was living in the Bay Area, like going plant shopping, I would spend easily $150 on succulents and cactus. So the Bay Area is very expensive to own plants. Everything there is expensive. So this is what my Hoya Carry looks like here. I chose the terracotta because it had a little bit more leg room. This guy isn't as big root system wise, so they're just gonna live here, and I wish you guys luck. These were you know, my first time ever seeing this plant in a nursery in person, so I spent about $20 on both of them. Yes, they're expensive, but I'm glad that I have them now, and these are slow growers, so I'll definitely keep you guys updated on these new babies of mine. So I think that's going to wrap up today's video, guys. I'm going to clean up my space and wrap up the video. This is probably my favorite part of my Planting with Jewelyn episodes, is being able to see all of my work all grouped up in a plant gang at the end of the video. So I can't believe there's this much babies. I usually think when I'm doing my Planting with Jewelyn episodes that I don't have a lot to do, but it ends up being always this big. So I have a bunch of water propagations happening. I'm so glad I finally got them into water, as well as shifting around old plants into different planters, and then planting up new babies into planters and getting them kind of settled into their new home. I hope this inspires you to, you know, take the time out to take care of your plants, or if you're getting into plants, you know, you don't have to spend any money if you have plant friends, or even if you find a succulent or something like that on the street, pick it up, because you never know. Again, this little guy here was grown off of one little random stray succulent leaf on the ground, and in my city that happens a lot. And today here I am a year later with a brand new plant baby. So I hope this inspires you. It was really fun to do this episode. I got to, you know, deal with some of my succulents that are struggling, and I still love them just as much as my, you know, my most wanted wish list plants, which is my Hoya here. And I got some new cressulas in here and more donkey's tail, and again, like my random mystery hitchhiker peperomia obtusifolia here, which I think is so funny how that ended up in a planter with my other variegated one. Here's another fun one too that I want to highlight, which is a cutting that I got from Anya from my Meet My Plant Friend episode, where we traded cuttings at the end. So, you know, it's just so much fun for me to do anything really, whether it's shopping for plants, trading cuttings, or anything like that. So I hope this inspires you, and you can find more on my blog at ILOVEJEWELYN.blogspot.com. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and I hope you guys enjoy these Planting with Jewelyn episodes, and I'll keep you guys posted on when they are rooted up, my propagated cuttings, and then we'll go ahead and plant them up in a future Planting with Jewelyn episode, which is always fun for me to see them have roots and give them a new graduated home. But this is a very successful episode. I'm really happy with how everything turned out, especially that I'm leaving in the morning for a handful of days again. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified whenever I upload a video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Aloha from Santa Monica. Bye.